This week, Fishing the West takes you to Oregon's rugged Coast Range and to the Alsea River 20 miles inland from the Pacific. Formed by the convergence of several mountain tributaries, the main Alsea's 50-mile run of the ocean provides excellent accessibility and a relatively gentle boat drift. With resident rainbow trout, silvers, and Chinook salmon available during part of the year, it's still the outstanding winter run of steelhead that make the Alsea one of Oregon's top streams. And the state's hatchery program here has markedly increased the return of steelhead from the Pacific, with an all-time record coming back last year. We'll be fishing today with biologist and steelhead expert Nancy McHugh. Nancy is currently head of coastal research for the Fish and Wildlife Commission. We'll drift through some of the Alsea's best holding water today, using cluster eggs and sand shrimp bounced on the bottom. And with another good run of steelhead this year, Nancy's knowledge of the river should help us hook some of these prime hard-fighting fish.
Welcome to Fishing the West with host Larry Schoenborn. The show, shot over about a 10-year period, covered fishing from Alaska, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and California. Since this was shot in the 1980s and 1990s, you'll notice some dated clothing, some older model vehicles and boats, and a younger Larry. While most of the techniques in these shows are still viable, tackle has continued to evolve. We'll update you on those changes in tackle and changes or modifications in techniques in the quest for steelhead on Fishing the West.
Looks like we should catch some fish.
We should.
For drift gear, the Corky is almost the standard, but many others like the classic Birdie Drifter or Okie Drifter are still effective. Also, yarn and scent have also hooked many a metalhead. A typical drift rig like this is easy to tie up. Robert Campbell's book, Illustrated Rigging for Salmon, Steelhead, and Trout, or Bill Herzog's Timeless Drift Fishing for Winter Steelhead are excellent books on the different variations of drift fishing rigs and other timeless knots and terminal tackle for steelhead. Both are available through Amato Books.
Well, those eggs look good.
They do. They're bright, holding their color.
I think shrimp will still outfish them, Nancy.
You think so? Well, we'll see, Larry. You've challenged me, and I'll take it.
Yeah, the color of the water is you almost don't need bait, though, probably.
You really don't. The floating bodies, you can use them just above the hook by themselves.
Right.
Plenty of attraction.
Gives you a little more confidence with that bait on there.
It does. It does. If they can sense things, and if plunkers use bait in murky water fishing deep holes, there's got to be some good merits to it. I feel better with it on.
It has pretty good current, though. It bounces along, you know, pretty good.
I'm getting a really nice drift here. The bottom seems to be free of snags.
Kind of work it right on down, too.
I noticed you've been longlining.
Oh.
2 longliners that can't wait to get to the next drift.
Probably hook fish right in front of the boat is what we'll do, huh?
Right.
I never fished this. It's supposed to have a lot of fish in it.
It's been awfully productive this year, and it's a very good river for a lot of fish every season.
Doesn't it rank number 5 or 6 or so every year on number of steelhead?
I know it's one of the top 5, and it's competing with streams that have both summer runs and winter runs.
And it's such a small stream.
Yeah, and it only has a winter run.
Does it get a lot bigger down below?
Yes, it does. We're fishing a little higher today because the majority of the boats are a little further downriver, and I thought we'd try a drift that had a little less pressure on it. And,
There's only been one other boat. That's
I know.
ought to catch some fish.
The Alsea River flows into the Pacific from the Coast Range in Oregon. Known for rainbow trout, Chinook, and coho salmon, the Alsea also provides some of the best winter steelhead fishing in Oregon. This small stream is an easy float in a drift boat, as you'll see today. Larry is fishing with Oregon State biologist and steelhead expert Nancy McHugh, who also worked as an advisor to the Fish and Wildlife Commission. You'll notice that the styles of yesterday worked to a T in the Northwest Rains, but today lightweight Gore-Tex and storm block fleece have replaced heavy vinyl and rubber rain gear. Layering is the rage today, where wool and brawn ruled just a few short years ago. Let's join Larry and Nancy on the Alsea River in Oregon State.
That's about where you had that bite, isn't it?
That is.
It's going to take a shrimp, though, I think, Nancy.
No, no, they're going to strip my eggs off. I think so. Extend the drift a little here. And... Okay,
Way to go.
All right.
Oh, good job.
That's where they were supposed to be.
Oh, he's going to find some brush over there. Give you a hard time anyway, huh? Oh, come here, fish.
Looked like a buck first time. What do you think?
I think it's a steelhead.
I think it's a steelhead.
Boy, they're scrapping.
Certainly is. Definitely does not want to come
What do
in.
you have on there with your eggs?
My favorite one, a honey-colored corky. Kind of honey and orange.
Yeah.
Real pretty. Kind of
You call
egg-colored.
it a peach or a...
Peachy
peach
color.
Yeah.
When this episode was shot, most of the rods were almost as a rule 8.5 feet, and you use those two-piece rods for back bouncing, drift fishing, and even pulling plugs.
You can get a look at any of the fins on that as it came out.
Today you'll want to have all three types of rods rigged up in the boat and be ready for any kind of water.
Oh. That's a pretty good size one. That's bigger than I thought.
Probably about, what, 8 pounds maybe?
Anyway, you know, they don't look as big in the water until you get them up real close.
They don't.
That's a pretty good steelhead. Boy, that corky does show up good in the water.
It does.
Okay, about got him ready?
He's not ready yet.
Oh. Well, the current is helping him right now because I think you've got him about licked.
Isn't it amazing that the body form of a fish, how they can use that current to their advantage?
Come here, fish. We're going to get you.
All right, nice netting job. Thank you.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one to eat, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Think the bucks eat better than the hens?
I've heard some people say that. I'd love eating steelhead, hen or buck.
They're a great fish to eat, aren't they? They're my favorite to eat of all fish.
And we've got a fin mark on it.
Yes.
I saw that as we were netting it. There's a right ventral fin missing on this side and a right maxillary right there.
Yes.
Notice this side of the jawbone versus the other side where that full upper maxillary plate is there. We ran out of fins, so we clipped the maxillary plates too.
I'll be able to tell the differences where you've turned them loose?
Right. And this is, so then a right ventral, right maxillary mark, and that was released in the lower Alsea River.
Now, how can you tell that was a buck so fast?
By its coloration. Looks characteristically more like a resident rainbow trout. First fish of the day looks mighty good to me.
Didn't take you long at all.
Larry is fishing today with sand shrimp and cluster eggs for winter steelhead. For back bouncing eggs, the most popular rod of choice is an 8-foot fast action rod with a sensitive tip and good powerful butt section. The bite can be so subtle that you'll want to be ready to set the hook when you feel the first sniff. The fast action rods like this Lamiglas certified pro model work best. For drift fishing, you'll want a fast action rod from 8.5 to 9.5 feet. A high modulus graphite rod provides the ultimate in sensitivity to detect the slightest bite.